It's the most wonderful time of the year, with the kids jingle belling and everyone telling you be of good cheer. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's
Hello children, and welcome to Getting Merry with Mary. Now, recipes as always are in the link below, so just grab yourself a festive treat of your choice and here we go. Over the years, people have asked me over and over again, what's it like being married to, well, him. Do you want to know what it's like being married to the great Saint Nick? It's wonderful. It's all chocolates and roses and carols and cards and snowfall and reindeer shit. Oh yes, the real answer to that question would give you quite a surprise, I should imagine. Maybe it was the undeniable proof that he was so good with kids that really did it for me. You see, children have always been a big part of my life. I grew up the oldest in a huge family. Not just a huge family, but a huge Catholic family. Couldn't move for kids. I tell you now, what I wouldn't have given for a stocking full of condoms in that house. Well, regardless of whether kids were on the cards, I guess there was just something undeniably seductive about a big, strong man who was so full of giving and pleasing. Maybe I was just ripe for some starry glamour and an adventure. You see, up until that point, life had been quite sensible, really. I mean, more about getting the grades than getting laid. I was only 19, you see, when his sleigh flew into town. 19. God, I was so young. Seems a lifetime away. Well, the thing is, I just hadn't done much living in my teenage years, if you know what I mean. I was more pink and dimples. Look at me now, more drink and wrinkles. Well, I've been working in the big department store on the high street. Christmas job. Just to make a bit of pocket money, really, to keep me going at university. But I loved it. See, Christmas had always been a big part of my life, ever since I was tiny. And my parents used to go to idiotic lengths to make us believe that Santa Claus was real. Oh, yes. They'd eat the pies that we'd set out for him, drink the sherry, even scatter coal dust all over the living room. But for me, seeing him was the high point of my year. Well, not that I ever saw him, but just thinking about him, you know? Well, on the downside, when I was in my teens and I was still asking people what Santa had brought them for Christmas, I did attract a bit of scornful and negative attention. But by the time I was working in the shop, I'd come to grips with the reality that parents lie and are deceitful, and that there was no Santa Claus. Even so, there's still something magical about working in retail at Christmas. I was cute back then. So most people were nice to me. it was my second Christmas there, and management seemed to have taken a liking to me, so they gave me the grotto job. Not just any old grotto job, but the grotto job. Now, we are not talking cheap garden shed, bit of cotton wool, 2 plastic moulded reindeer and a disenchanted elf on minimum wage with attitude here. Oh no, this was the real thing. Elves with humour, real life reindeer, candy cane trees, carol singers, moving scenes with figures in Victorian costume. They even had real bloody snow. Magical, mystical, fairy tale stuff, just like it should be. And people would bring their kids from miles around to sit on the real Santa's knee. Well, that was before Operation U Tree, and all the paranoid parents and politicians made it impossible for any man, even Santa, to even say hello to a kid without a DBS check. Do you know you can't even have your damn photograph taken anymore? I mean, for crying out loud, not every old man with a beard is a paedophile. Sorry, I digress. Anyway, there I was with my own enchanted magic kingdom to create. First thing, recruit the staff. Well, hiring elves was a new challenge for this kid, I can tell you. And let me tell you, they may be little, but they are not a pushover. Oh no, no minimum wage for them. Not at all. Elves are a scarce commodity at that time of year, and they let me know about it. But soon enough, things began to take shape. Even the reindeer were cooperating. They did have a tendency to be a little unhelpful and shit on the snow, but hey, it's the thought that counts. I turned the lights on the tree, and the magic was almost complete. Just needed him, the main man, the star of the show. Now, I was wondering who they might have hired that year. Would it be one of those sweaty, overweight, nervous, slightly embarrassed types that seem to crop up everywhere at Christmas? Probably. See, I was still cynical then. I had no idea of the impact of his arrival. But then it began. When boom! Yeah, on the roof. I know. I mean, that guy had really gone to all lengths, given it was just really a sort of souped up fancy dress gig. And people's expectations were immense. Well, as for me, I just taped off a disabled bay in the car park. What was I thinking? His arrival was absolute Hollywood. Honestly, there was something so Last Action Hero, so very rock and roll about his arrival. Thwoosh, and the clatter and skitter of hooves. Awestruck silence. Pin drop stillness. Minutes passed. Then the lift doors opened, and there he stood. Well, I just became like a kid again. My knees went to jelly, my stomach filled with butterflies. Honestly, and my downstairs started to wake up. Well, maybe not being exactly like a kid again, eh? Anyway, he stood there for a moment, letting me take him all in. Oh my God, I thought. It must have cost a fortune to hire him. I can tell you, he looked remarkable. Those legendary black leather boots and those red trousers, cut tight to complement his assets. Muscles bulging, taut against the strain of carrying a huge sack on his back. Oh. He walked towards us with all the confidence in the world, strode towards us, beaming, his blue eyes glinting in the light of the Christmas tree. And he turned and looked at me with this, "What do you want for Christmas?" smile. And then, in a voice which had all the dreams of all the kids in all the world, he said, "Merry Christmas, Mary," and handed me a package. Oh, it was perfect. It was the perfect paper, the perfect ribbon. Then he nudged me gently with his sack and disappeared back into the grotto. Well, it was my job to keep the big man happy. Just to make sure his milk and cookies didn't run out, that his sack was full, that sort of thing. It was chaos. Wonderfully, relentlessly busy, but absolute chaos nonetheless. And I couldn't even see that package until after closing. Well, Nick and his entourage had left the building. I was just cleaning up some sick from an overfed child who'd overdone it with excitement, when I saw it there, under the tree. I could have sworn there wasn't a note on it before. Anyway, I rushed over, like a kid, ripped the paper off, and oh my God, there it was. How could he have known? And it was in that moment, against all the facts, that I knew he had to be the real thing. The funny thing was, he absolutely wasn't my type. I mean, my fantasy man was lean, floppy-haired, sort of suffering artistic type. But let me tell you, once you've been given an older man who can make all your wishes come true, and more, you can't look back from that. That is the most seductive thing ever. Oh, fuck off, Alex. Do you know, I was a size 8 before I met him. Yeah. Before all the full fat milk and cookies and the mountains of mince pies and Christmas puds and the vats of double cream. Oh God, the double cream. Size 8. Before I met him,
sky.